For years, Officer Gregory Calloway and Officer Anthony Miller did whatever they pleased. Every traffic stop, a trap. Every complaint, it vanished. They ruled through fear, fully aware that no one could touch them, until they harassed the wrong man. A black man, quietly walking his German shepherd through the neighborhood. A man they assumed was powerless, just another face they could intimidate. But when he didn't submit, when he dared to question their authority, they escalated. Harsh words became threats. Threats turned into violence. And when his dog stepped forward, one of them reached for his gun. Now Malcolm Hayes, a Delta Force operative with nothing left to lose, is coming for them. Those officers thought they understood power, thought their badges made them untouchable. But they have no idea what's coming. Justice will be swift. Justice will be painful. Before we continue, comment below where in the world you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe. The afternoon sun cast long shadows over the quiet suburban street, golden light filtering through the trees that lined the sidewalks. Rex's paws tapped rhythmically against the pavement, his ears flicking at the distant hum of a lawnmower, the occasional chirp of hidden birds. His leash hung loosely in Malcolm's grip, the German shepherd moving in perfect sync with his owner, alert, yet at ease. It was one of those rare moments, a beautiful day, when the world felt still, uncomplicated. Malcolm inhaled deeply, taking in the crisp scent of freshly cut grass, feeling the weight of the day ease, just slightly. This walk, a small pleasure, part of his routine after weeks of traveling for work. He had been away longer than usual this time, overseeing security operations overseas. But now that he was back, all he wanted was to enjoy the little things. A peaceful walk with Rex, the warmth of the sun on his skin, the comfort of home. Yet, even in this moment, he felt them. The eyes. It always happened. A car rolling to a slow stop at a nearby intersection. The barely perceptible twitch of a curtain in a second-story window. A jogger hesitating just a beat too long before continuing past. Malcolm had spent most of his life in high-risk environments, where survival depended on reading a situation before it unfolded. Out there, it was about spotting threats, enemy combatants, hidden explosives, unseen dangers lurking in the shadows. Here, it was different, subtler, less overt, but no less real. He could feel it in the way strangers' eyes lingered just a second too long, the way some clutched their purses a little tighter, the way, just last week, a man walking his golden retriever had crossed the street, never once making eye contact. He had done nothing but exist. And still, that was enough to make people uneasy. Ironic, really. He had spent over a decade in the world's most elite counterterrorism unit, Delta Force. He had operated in places where stepping into the wrong alley meant never stepping out again. Where trust, a luxury he couldn't afford. He had taken down warlords, dismantled terror cells, protected people who never even knew they were in danger. Yet here, in his own neighborhood, the very place he had paid for with blood, sweat, and sacrifice,
he was the one who didn't belong.
A car turned the corner ahead, creeping forward at a pace that felt too deliberate. Malcolm's gaze flicked toward it, already knowing what he was about to see. Black and white paint job. Familiar shape. The low, humming growl in Rex's chest was so soft no one else would have caught it. Malcolm gave the leash a small tug. Easy, boy. His voice was calm, reassuring. Rex obeyed instantly, his head tilting toward Malcolm as if reading his expression. The cruiser slowed, pulling alongside him, matching his pace. Then came the voice. Afternoon, sir. Malcolm stopped walking, turning toward the vehicle with measured ease. His posture? Relaxed. His expression? Neutral. No tension. No challenge. Afternoon, officer, he replied, keeping his tone polite, always polite. The driver, Officer Calloway, leaned against the open window, his expression unreadable, but his eyes? Assessing. Calculating. Searching. His partner, Officer Miller, had already stepped out of the vehicle. His boots crunched against the pavement as he positioned himself just a few steps away, close enough to intimidate, far enough to claim it wasn't intentional. They weren't here for a friendly chat. You live around here? Calloway asked, tilting his head slightly. His voice, casual. Too casual. Yes, sir, Malcolm answered without hesitation. Calloway's lips twitched, like he wasn't expecting the automatic respect. That's funny. Don't think I've seen you before. Malcolm gave a small, polite nod. I travel a lot for work. Security contracting overseas. Just got back a few days ago. Miller scoffed under his breath, shaking his head. Security contracting. That's some kind of fancy way of saying mercenary? Malcolm let out a soft chuckle, like he wasn't the least bit offended. Let them think they had the upper hand. Not quite, he said, voice friendly. Private security for high-risk environments. I consult for agencies and corporations. Help train teams for emergency response. Calloway nodded slowly, but something in his expression was off. Well, he said, shifting slightly. We got a call about someone looking suspicious in the neighborhood. Figured we'd check it out. Malcolm raised a brow, but kept his tone even. I see. I wasn't aware walking my dog was suspicious. Calloway smirked. You'd be surprised what people think is suspicious these days. Miller took a slow step closer, his eyes dropping to Rex, who remained calm but watchful. That's a big dog, Miller commented, feigning interest. Trained? Yes, sir. Trained for what? Malcolm let the question hang in the air for a moment, his stance still easy. He knew exactly where this was going. Obedience. Protection. He's very disciplined. Miller nodded, as if weighing the words. Then Calloway shifted the conversation. Gonna need to see some ID. It wasn't a request. Malcolm knew his rights.
He could ask why.
He could refuse. He could stand his ground. But he also knew exactly what kind of men he was dealing with. Of course, he said smoothly, already reaching into his jacket, moving slowly, deliberately. Rex let out a barely audible rumble, shifting slightly closer. Calloway's eyes flicked toward the dog, and Malcolm didn't miss the way his fingers twitched near his belt. Whoa there, Miller muttered, voice just a little sharper. You might want to keep that thing under control. Malcolm's jaw tightened slightly, but his voice remained level. Rex is fine. He's well trained. Calloway chuckled under his breath. Yeah? We'll see about that. Something in his tone made Malcolm's stomach tighten. It was the way he said it. The unspoken promise of what was coming next. He pulled out his wallet carefully, holding it up. Calloway barely glanced at it before waving his hand dismissively. Nah, I think we're gonna need you to step over here for a second. Just a few questions. Malcolm exhaled slowly. Carefully. Don't give them an excuse. He gave Rex's leash the lightest tug, signaling the command to stand down. Then he stepped forward. And that's when everything changed. Control your damn dog. Malcolm exhaled slowly, keeping his hands raised, refusing to let the irritation show, refusing to give them even an inch of what they wanted. Rex is under control, he said evenly. He hasn't moved. He's on a leash. He's trained. He hasn't attacked. The only reason he's reacting is because. I don't give a damn what you think. Boy, Miller snapped, his voice cutting through the air like the crack of a whip. I said, control your damn dog. Malcolm's fingers twitched, not from anger. No, that was an indulgence he had buried long ago, locked away in the part of himself that understood losing his temper in moments like these could be a death sentence. This wasn't about emotion. This was about discipline, calculation, training. Right now, every breath, every movement, every single thing he did was a potential trigger for something he wouldn't be able to undo. Officers, please, Malcolm said carefully, lowering his voice just enough to take the heat out of the moment. I am complying. You saw my ID. You know I live here. My dog is restrained. I am not resisting. So tell me, what exactly do you need from me right now? Calloway stepped in closer, his fingers still twitching near his holster, his expression twisting into something Malcolm recognized instantly. He wasn't looking for compliance. He was looking for an excuse. You think this is a game? Calloway sneered, his voice rising. You think we give a damn what you think?
He scoffed.
I don't care who you are, where you live, or what you do. Right now, you're a threat. And that mutt of yours? A damn liability. Miller shifted forward, his boots grinding against the pavement. So, what's it gonna be? You want to keep running your mouth, or you want to do what the hell you're told? Rex let out a low, rumbling growl. Malcolm adjusted his stance ever so slightly, keeping both officers in his periphery while maintaining control over Rex. You're the ones escalating the situation, Malcolm said, his voice steady. I am standing still. My dog is standing still. The only aggression here is coming from you. Stand down.
Now.
Miller barked the order, sharp, commanding, laced with something just a little too eager. Malcolm's pulse pounded. Not in fear, in frustration. In the suffocating certainty that no amount of reason, no careful choice of words, would change the outcome they had already decided. Calloway's hand jerked in an aggressive motion toward the ground. Put that mutt down. Make him sit.
Now.
Malcolm moved slowly, deliberately. He turned his head just slightly, voice controlled as he gave the command. Rex. Down. Immediately, Rex obeyed, lowering himself to the ground. His body tense, his ears flicking back, sensing the force behind the order, sensing that something wasn't right. And Malcolm knew, without a doubt, this wasn't over.